Welcome to Not Your Wellness Guru, the podcast for those who are done with the noise and ready to get back to how we were actually designed to heal. I'm Amanda, holistic health coach, herbalist, and rebel with a cause, here to help you unlearn all the wellness rules that never served you and remember the ones that always did. Around here, we trust the body, honor God's design, and make healing simple again. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by what health is supposed to look like, this space is for you. Quick note, this show is for education and encouragement. It's not medical advice, so always talk to a trusted health professional and follow what feels right to your body. Let's get into it. I did everything right, and I still felt worse. I was overloaded with tons of expensive gadgets, supplements. I was overloaded with wellness tips. The noise was so loud. All these, you should be doing this to feel better. You should be doing this to heal. And none of it worked. Some of it worked a little, but in the really overarching theme of it, none of it actually worked. It was all just stuff. It was all complicated. And I tried all the complicated things. It was a really stressful time in my life because I wanted to feel better. I wanted to heal so bad. I tried it all. If you've ever felt that way, if you've ever felt like health was just another heavy thing to manage in your life, you're not alone. But this space is very different. And I'm going to take you back a little bit of my before life, right? It was full of doing all the things and performing all the things and pushing through. And it really started many years even before that. I was brought up in a way that, you didn't question anything. You just did what you were told. You were the most helpful. When I was 2 years old, my mom had twins. And from literally that point on, I was the one to be the helper and to do the things. And that was fine. I love doing that. I still love being the helper, but it was from that point on just full of doing. And then as I became into my teen years, I just continued doing, but health wasn't really a thought for me, even at the time it should have been. It wasn't a thought for me. It wasn't until I started having thyroid issues as a 19, 20-year old that I was like, maybe I need to worry about my health. And I got to this point where I just met my now husband, and we were young and dumb and thought we had the world figured out, as most people do. And I really was sick. I could barely do things for myself. Like I could barely work at the time. And we had just moved out into our own apartment because we thought that we could handle all the things and all the bills. And my husband was on inhalers. He has asthma, and we couldn't afford both like the power bill and his inhalers. And I was sick at the time too. So I had nothing but like time and misery on my hands. And I remember there was a plant in the corner of our yard that we hadn't mowed in a while because we couldn't afford to have someone to mow it. And my husband couldn't mow it because his asthma was poorly managed with no inhalers. There was a plant growing very tall, and I thought, oh, that's really interesting looking. So I looked it up, and it was the mullein plant, and it was great for asthma and respiratory things. So I made him some tea. It helped him. And that really started my journey of like, there's alternatives out there. Herbs actually work. What else is out there? Which was great, right? Because herbs absolutely can be helpful. It started a spiral for me though, because I was starving. I was hungry for information. So I just wanted to start like gathering all this information, which is valid, right? When you find something that works, you want to know like what else is out there that can work for you or for other people or for your mom or your sister or, all these other things. So I really started pouring my time into like herbs and what could help me feel better. That really spiraled into this overload on wellness for me. And I eventually started a herbal business and started, making these herbal remedies for people. And all of these things were good, right? But on the back end of it, I was so overloaded with just the information and all the supplements and all the wellness tips and all these things that I was passing on to people, not from a place of like harm. Like I never wanted to harm people with all these wellness tips. I only wanted to help because they had truly helped me. Some of them were really beneficial for me and my life and other people, but it was too much. So on the back end, I was just spiraling. I was numb to everything. There was so much overwhelm in the wellness space for me that I got to the point of burnout where I had to, hand off my herbal business and just kind of sit for years to figure out why this happened to me, why I went from, feeling fairly well with all these things to being just so overloaded with information and burnout. And that's where I'm at now, is not managing all the heavy wellness tips, not over functioning. Life was full of doing and performing and pushing, and I just kept adding more and more and more, and that followed me into adulthood. But it really was a point of like, I'm working 16 to 18-hour days in my herbal business. I'm homeschooling, helping my husband run his business, and barely sleeping. I was frustrated. I was discouraged. I was chasing all of these fixes. I had zero energy. I had so much brain fog just because of all the things in my space. I had no joy in my life. And for me, I say that joy is something that has nothing to do with anyone else, right? It's only you. Other people's actions don't affect your joy. And I didn't have that. I could help other people find their joy, but for me it was just so hard because there was so much swirling. I stepped back from everything and just kind of sat with it for a long time. And I needed to do that. And as I pulled back and like sat with it, my body just lost it. I was physically unwell again because my body had been holding it together for so long, running on fumes. As soon as I stepped back to take a deep breath, the body was like, oh my gosh, I have some time and space to work through some of these things. And it didn't feel good at the time, but I realized it was needed because I was under so much stress for such a long period, literally decades. My body needed a time of zero stress or low stress, even. I'm a mom. How much do I get zero stress? But my body needed time of lower stress to work through some of those things. And I realized that as I was toying with the idea of selling my business, it was really, I felt a push, right, to get out of that space. That business did wonderful things for people, and that elderberry lady still exists today. It looks different because my friend Lisa owns it, and she has taken it and ran with it in her direction. And I think it's wonderful. But it was really that push was God was inviting me to lay things down and trust his design rather than what I thought my life should look like. Because I've always had a heart for like helping people, and I thought it would look like that, but really it looks like this. So some of the things that I did remove to make space for real healing was my business. That was one of the hardest things to lay down for me because it had my heart and soul in it. But also there were small things that I laid down that made a huge difference. One of them being having a perfect morning routine. In the wellness space, I know you guys have probably heard you need to get up at this time and then you need to do this and you need to do that and you need to do that. And these huge morning routines are just so detrimental to someone like me because I want to feel better. I want those things. But waking up first thing and like diving into this ridiculous, take these 12 supplements, I've done that before. I've done those things. It was not actually helpful to me. Letting go of that perfect morning routine really created calmer mornings that fit my life. And for me personally, having a calm morning, a quiet, slow morning, sets my day up to have so much of a better day than if I wake up and just start cramming all of these, have to get done things into my life first thing in the morning. That sets my day up for more chaos. It sets my day up for more stress. It doesn't start anchored. So I've reframed, instead of having like this perfect morning routine, just having a really strong morning anchor. And for me, I just try to make sure to get up before my kids get up and give myself about 20 minutes. And that 20-minute space to drink some water, have some salt, maybe read or take a walk or get some sunshine and fresh air in the morning. There's no like set thing for me now, and I feel so much better because of it. I just try to get up a little bit earlier than everybody else and give myself a little bit of space to anchor myself and get really rooted in how I want my day to go. Reframing that for me was a huge shift. It really opened up so many things of like, let's not have things perfect, let's have things done, because perfection is something that I've chased all my life. I was the oldest daughter and I wanted everything to be perfect. I tried to make everything perfect, even as a kid. And that carried over into my adult life. So taking away that perfect morning routine was really difficult. But once I did, it really, really was a breath of fresh air to every single day. Part of that morning routine that I thought was true was that I needed more supplements, and that equated to better health. So I ended up really looking at, do I need these things, or did I just see a video on the internet that told me I would probably need these things? So instead of taking 12 or 20 supplements every morning, I really stripped it down and started cutting back slowly. I didn't stop it all at once, but I really cut it back slowly to the point where now I just have water and salt in the morning. And then, according to what my day is going to look like, I will have some sort of tincture blend that I've made for myself. I have a few different ones and recipes. If you guys want some ideas or need to bounce some herbal wisdom things off of me, feel free to drop it in the chat and I will be happy to help. But it really is so much smaller than what it used to be, because I don't think that the supplements are really the way that God designed our body to function. I think that most of our nutrients and things need to come from real whole foods. And switching my mindset from taking a pill to eating a bite of that's what's going to help me feel better was a really simple shift. And you wouldn't think of it as being that simple, but it really was, because I'm actually saving money and I don't feel like I'm lacking anything. I probably feel better now than I ever have. Another thing that I took away from my life to really open things up was trying to be the perfectly healthy person. And I think we've all been in that boat at some point of, I'm going to start this, perfect diet on Monday and everything's, and then I'm going to start working out and doing all these things and really fitting into the mold of what we think health perfection is going to look like. The things online, people with perfect abs and perfect workout routines and perfect everything. And trying to be that is not sustainable for most people. For some people that works, sure, maybe. But for most people, it doesn't. And I really tried that. And it did not work for me. It actually created stress, and stress raises cortisol, and cortisol makes your body hold on to things that it really doesn't need or want. And if you're trying to create the space for healing or health in any form of your life, stressing about being healthy is not going to be helpful to you. It really, once I laid down the like, I need to be a perfect, healthy person idea, it gave me this sense of freedom to live and enjoy and not just perform wellness. And that's what I did for years, was perform wellness, and it wasn't helpful. It wasn't wellness. Really, wellness is found in that freedom to enjoy and live life. And there's a place for healthy balance there. It's just figuring out what it looks like for you in your life. So the more that I like cleared all of the noise, the more I was able to hear and listened to my body and God clearly, which really did shape my direction and shape the way I felt long term. And that's what this podcast is really all about. It's about clearing space for the things that's going to work for you in your real life. It's about what really matters: real tools, honest conversations, and gentle shifts and encouragement, because we all need that. This is me reminding you to care for your health in a way that fits your life and honors how God made you. Not me, not your neighbor, but you. Next week, we're talking about why your motivation might feel stuck and how to get it back without pushing harder and adding a ton more to your plate. If any of this resonated with you, make sure to follow, share it with somebody who needs to hear this, and make sure to comment things that you want me to do podcasts on in the future. I'm really here to help guide you and shed light on the things that you really want to know and how to actually take away all that wellness noise, cut all the fluff, and get back to what's real and what actually works with your body, not against it. See you next time. Thanks for listening to Not Your Wellness Guru. If this episode gave you something to think about, something to feel, or something to unlearn, share it with a friend or leave a quick review. That is how this message spreads. You were never meant to hustle for health. You were designed to heal. Let's remember that together. See you next time.